Okay, so I'm going to get started right now. This is Cite It Right, an EndNote webinar for the Nancy Thompson Library Learning Commons. My name is Craig Anderson, and welcome. I'm going to be sharing my contact information right here. If you feel like you're struggling with the EndNote application, if you need any kind of extra help, please feel free to contact me. I am cjanders@kane.edu is my email address. My work phone number is 908-737-4602. You can also find me at Library Guy on Twitter. You don't have to friend me on Twitter. I won't be heartbroken. But feel free. So this is going to be a brief webinar about the EndNote citation application. You can get there from the library homepage. It lives at library.kane.edu. If you type in library.kane.edu, it will bring you to this URL, but it's usually easier just to remember library@kane.edu. So this is our homepage. This is the way you can use to get to our book catalog. You can find articles here, as well as to the databases. We'll be examining those later as well. But for right now, to get into EndNote, I want to go to where it says Research and Collections right up here. And then if you kind of go down this list, there's two options for EndNote. There's EndNote Online Citation Help. That's the one we want. But there's also EndNote Online User Guide. This is a user guide that will tell you how to use EndNote in case you're still struggling a little bit after this session. The user guide can be very helpful. But for right now, we're going to go directly to EndNote under Citation Help. So we're going to EndNote. Now, if you don't have an EndNote account yet, what you would do is go up here where it says Register. Oh, and it just logged me in. Okay, so you would go up there to register for an EndNote account. And it's going to ask you for an email address. If you don't already have an EndNote account, as I said before, you do have to create one. And I have to warn you that the password that you sign up with for EndNote, EndNote uses the most Byzantine password requirements that I've ever seen. Your password for EndNote has to have letters, numbers, and a symbol. It's case sensitive, and it has to be at least 8 characters. So try and bear all of those things in mind if you're signing up for your EndNote account. And when you sign up for your EndNote account, it does not have to be a Kane email address. It can be whichever email address you're most comfortable with. So this is my EndNote account, kind of automatically logged me in. What I'm going to show you here, when you first go to EndNote, it should show you the Getting Started guide. And this will give you a little rundown of the best ways to use EndNote if you're not familiar with it. But hopefully after this session, you will be an expert in the use of EndNote. So what I'm going to do is hide my Getting Started guide right up here on the right-hand side. This will take me to a page called All My References. Sounds like a soap opera. But these are all of the references that I have in EndNote. There's 485 of them. So it's unlikely that I'm ever going to use 485 different references in writing any kind of research paper or article or anything like that. So what I've done is I've arranged all of these articles into groups. If you go over to the left-hand side here, you'll notice that there are all these groups here. I really wish EndNote would call these folders because they act so much more like folders if you think of using a folder. But for whatever reason, EndNote calls them groups, so we're just going to call them groups for now. Anytime I say groups, pretend I just said folder, and it will make so much more sense to you. So I have a group here for articles just about vampires, because I am nothing if not a gothy freak. So here are all my vampire articles. This is just the first page. And I've collected all these. I know you're probably wondering how you get the articles into EndNote, and I promise I will show you that in just a minute. But for now, let's just look at this vampires group here. Let's say that I've written this research paper on vampires in modern American society, and I want to add all of these to the bibliography at the end of that research paper or article or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to this Format tab right here where it says Format on the top bar here. And just think of it as you're formatting your bibliography. And so I'm going to click on Format. I'm going to take all of those references that are in my vampires group. For bibliographic style, I'm going to use APA for right now, but feel free to use MLA or Chicago style when you do this on your own. And I have to warn you that the first time you bring up the list of bibliographic styles, there's going to be like 390 of them. So what I've done is I've gone to select favorites, and these are all of the bibliographic styles you could potentially cite something in. And most of them are specific to a particular journal or publication. But what I've done is I've kind of clicked on my top 10 favorites and moved them over here to my favorites. Let me hide that. So when I bring up bibliographic style, it's just got like these 10 favorites here. So for file format, I'm just going to bring this up as an HTML preview. I'm not going to actually publish it in like a Word document for right now or any kind of text-based format. So I'm just going to bring it up as HTML as if I were to publish this list of references on a website. So now I'm going to all these vampire articles, APA 6th edition, HTML format. I'm going to click Preview and Print, and it's going to do this. It's going to take all of those articles in my vampires group and put them all into APA style. Isn't that wonderful? So unfortunately, it's not a perfect system. For example, there's this article here by Simon Bainbridge, 2006. Now, for whatever reason, it put the title of The Vampire with question marks on either side of it. And it also spelled The Vampire in that early 18th or early 19th century way with the P-R-Y-E. That's not a mistake. But the question marks those are probably supposed to be quotation marks or possibly italics tags. So you do have to kind of go over this list before you publish it just to make sure that all of these articles are cited correctly. But it's still far easier than the old school way of doing this where we would have to have printed these all out individually. And that's what EndNote does for you. It just kind of arranges your entire APA style or MLA or Chicago style bibliography for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my references for right now. And then when you click on My References, it will always take you to all my references. Every reference that you save into EndNote is going to appear in the All My References group. But first I want to show you how you actually create the groups because that will be useful to you. If you go to the Organize tab, the very first thing that comes up is Manage My Groups. So this will give you the list of all of the groups that you have in your EndNote account. And all you have to do to create a new group is just go down here where it says New Group and click on that. And then you give the new group a name. You can call it Vampires, you can call it Werewolves, you can call it Bob, whatever you want to call this group. And then when you create a group, it will just put it here in this list. And if you're just starting out with EndNote, you're probably not going to have anything in this list already, just new group. What you can do with those groups is you can share those groups with other people. If you're working on a project together with somebody and you want to share the group, all you have to do is input the email address that that person uses to sign into EndNote, so like their username, and you can share that group with them, and then both of you can contribute articles to that particular group. So make sure it's somebody that you trust, that they're not going to put a bunch of garbage articles in your group. You can rename any of these groups if your focus has shifted somewhat on your project and you want to give the group a different name, you can do that. Or you can delete a group. When you delete a group, these articles do not go away. They will always be under All My References. It's just that this grouping of them will go away. So don't panic if you accidentally delete a group. You'll still have all of those articles, all those citations. You'll just have to kind of go back and find them all again. So any questions up to this point? Okay, so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go back to the library homepage. I'm going to go under the databases A to Z. I'm going to show you how to get these articles into your EndNote account. So I'm going to go to databases A to Z, and I'm going to go to the Academic Search Premier database. Academic Search Premier is one of the EBSCO family of databases. Academic Search Premier is a very, very good multidisciplinary database. It covers a little bit of everything. So no matter what our topic is, there's a good chance there'll be something about it in EBSCO host. So I'm going to do a search here on vampires and Gothic. I don't want to do just vampires. I want to be a little bit more specific, so vampires and Gothic. This is going to bring me a list of results. So I'm going to go down this list. If there's one of these articles that I really like, I can go to that article. Let's say this one is a good one, Gothic Weddings and Performing Vampires. Over here on the right-hand side, you'll notice that there are options to print, email, etc. There's an option here that says export. One of the things that I love about the EBSCO family of databases is that they make it really easy to export something into EndNote Web. Right here, the thing that's already selected for us, it says direct export into EndNote Web. So that's the one we really want. I just want to let you know that there's an option over here, direct export in RIS format. And I want to let you know about that because in some of the other databases that Kane subscribes to, they don't have a direct export option. They make you save the little RIS file onto your computer, and then you can go back to EndNote and upload the file into your EndNote account. But with EBSCO, it's really simple. It's just direct export into EndNote Web. We click on Save, and then it will open up an EndNote window. It says number of records imported 1. So it put this article on vampires and weddings, Bram Stoker, Genevieve Ward. It saved that into one of the groups I have here. Is called Unfiled. Now these are all of the articles that I have just kind of hanging out unfiled, and there's 2 of them in here. So one of them should be that, yes, this is the one that we just saved. Actually, I must have saved that earlier. Let me delete that one because we only need it once. So here's that article, Bram Stoker, Genevieve Ward, and Lady of the Shroud. And it's here under Unfiled because EndNote didn't know where else to put it, so it just put it under Unfiled. So what I can do now is I can just check that off, click Add to Group, and I can add it to my Vampires group. So now there are 173 articles in my Vampires group down here on the left. So that's basically how you get all of the articles into your EndNote account. If we had been in a different database that didn't have a direct export option, what that would have done is it would have made us save the article into like our downloads folder. And then what we can do is we can go to Collect. If you ever come upon a database that makes you save the RIS file onto your computer, if you go to the Collect option up here and go to Import References, see, we would export the item and then we would import it. So that file would be on our computer somewhere. We would just go to Choose File, and then we would find that file in our list of downloads, for example, and then click Open. Here's one from ProQuest. And then we would click Open. And then for the import option, that would depend on which database we use to get that article. So in this case, I had originally gotten this article from ProQuest. So I'd find ProQuest in this line here. And one of the benefits of the databases that make you download the RIS file onto your computer is that you can then select directly where you want it to go. So I'm taking this ProQuest RIS file, .ris. The import option is ProQuest. I'm putting it into my Vampires group. I click on Import, and now it says one reference was imported into the Vampires group. So that particular citation would have gone directly into Vampires. Another thing that you can do is sometimes you might not have a reference that you got from a database or that you got anywhere online, really. You might just have a book on your shelf or have an article on your table at home in some kind of publication. For that, what we do is we go to the Collect tab, and then we go to New Reference. When we go to New Reference, it gives us all of these options, author, title, year. You don't have to fill in all of these fields, just the ones that would go towards constructing a reference in whichever style, APA, MLA, Chicago. Now, this is just for a generic reference, but if you choose this reference type pull-down menu here, if you're citing like an artwork, a blog entry, a conference proceeding, if you're citing a film or broadcast, you can select one of these from the reference type, and then it will change these fields. So in this example, if we were to cite a film or a broadcast, it would change all these fields to director, title, year released, distributor, running time, all the things that we would need to cite a film or like a TV show episode. So we could just fill these in, and as we fill these in, it's going to auto-save it to our unfiled group over here on the side. And then we can just move that reference into whichever group it belongs in. So that's how you create a new reference. Again, this is a little bit the tedious way of doing it, but in the long run, it's still much, much easier than typing all the citations out the long way like we used to do back when I was in college. The other thing that I like to use EndNote for is sometimes if I'm looking through a lot of different references, if I'm in a database and I'm looking through all these articles, I don't have time to read this full article, so I'll just click on it and then I'll export it over to EndNote. It'll throw it over there in EndNote, and then it's there the next time I want to read that article, when I have more time to read that article. And it will usually have, like if I got it from an EBSCO database, as we can see here, it will have go to records, so I can go directly to that EBSCO link. Or if I got it from some web page, usually it will have full text available here. This one does not. I'm not sure where exactly I got this from, but again, as long as I have it somewhere in EndNote, then I can find it again. I can look at the reference and see where it is I got this particular citation. So any questions about EndNote up to this point? No? Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing, and this is, I always call this the most evil thing in EndNote, and I'll show you why in a little bit. Under Format, there's something called the Cite While You Write plugin, and that is exactly as insidious as it sounds. The Cite While You Write plugin, this will allow you to download this little applet called Cite While You Write. It will let you download it onto your computer at home. You can download it to Windows or to Mac, and when you do that, it will bring up the installation wizard, and you just pretend you read all the user agreements and click yes, and let EndNote install this applet onto your computer at home. And then what it will do is it will insinuate itself into your Microsoft Word program. As you can see, I've already started an article here on vampires in American society. So the next time you open up Word, if you have the Cite While You Write plugin loaded into your computer, into your Word, it says EndNote up here. So when I click on EndNote, it will, usually what it will do is it will prompt me for my EndNote login, but I've already logged in. And then it has a link to your EndNote account, and I've got this set up for APA 6. We can select any of those styles under My Favorites. But for right now, I'm going to use APA. Now, let's say I'm writing this paper on vampires in American society, and right here, I want to cite, there's an author, Catherine Ramsland. So I go to Insert Citations. It brings up this list here. I'm going to put in the author's last name. Now, I don't have to use the author's last name. If I just wanted to put the word vampire, if I knew the exact title or maybe the publication that this appeared in, but I just have to put something up here to find that particular article. And here, it's actually a book. In this case, it's Catherine Ramsland, The Anne Rice Reader, from way back in '97. So now I highlight that, I can click Insert, and here's what it will do. It will put Ramsland 1987 right here in the article where I had my cursor. And then at the bottom of this article, it will skip a space here, and then it will put that entire thing in APA format. So wait, let me just kind of enlarge that a little bit so you can see it better. That wasn't very enlarged. Okay, but you get the idea. So, so yeah, put that whole thing in APA format. Now, as I go down this article, now I want to put another citation here. Let's say I want to cite Paul Barber is another author that appears in my citations. So I go back to EndNote, still APA style. Insert citations, Paul Barber. I'm just going to search for his last name. Forensic Pathology and the European Vampire. Now, bear in mind that these citations don't actually refer back to these particular sentences. It's just a segment of an article that I got in order to show you this feature. So here, we'll put Paul Barber, 1987, and then at the end of the document, see what it did now is it put Barber in front of Catherine Ramsland because, of course, his name appears first alphabetically. So now if I want to cite, there's another author whose last name was Ryan. Kissing Brides and Loving Hot Vampires. And now it puts Ryan after Ramsland. So by the time I finish this, citing all of these people, all I have to do is insert a page break right here. And I can type references at the top, center that. And now here my references page is like already done as I'm, composing this article or, research paper, whatever. And I always say it's the most evil aspect of EndNote because it didn't exist when I was still going to grad school. So I'm a little bit bitter about that. The other great thing is as you're doing this whole thing, let's say that you're about to turn the paper in and your professor says, oh no, they didn't want it in APA style, they actually wanted it in MLA style. So we can go back to EndNote and we have all these things in APA style. We can just change that to MLA. And now it reformatted it with just the author's last name. And then the citations down here are all in MLA style. With MLA style, it does the author's surname and what page the article appeared on, or the thing that you're citing appeared on. So I haven't done MLA in quite a while, but it would be something like that. You do still have to insert the page number because obviously EndNote doesn't know what page I took this quote from. And again, this is just an example. I didn't actually take this particular quote from Ramsland, 1987 or 97 rather. So so yeah, that's the Cite While You Write feature. And like I said, I really wish they had this around while I was still going to grad school. Just EndNote in general, I really wish they had it when I was still going to grad school and undergrad, because it saves a lot of time in creating your bibliographies, and also, like I said, just storing the articles for later use so that you can always access them again. So are there any questions about anything that I've mentioned here or anything that I haven't mentioned here? No? Okay. Well, thank you for staying with me for this entire presentation. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you're eager to sign into EndNote, which again, library homepage, if you just go under Research and Collections and then EndNote Online Citation Help. Again, please feel free to contact me if you have any trouble, if you're having any problems with EndNote, or if you're having any trouble with any of the databases, or if you just want to do research about vampires in modern American culture. So, so that's it. That's all I have for you. So have a good day. And enjoy your weekend if it's close to the weekend. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so it's not quite the weekend yet. I'm going to stop this recording, and thank you.